Welcome back to another episode of the Hardcore Casual with your boy, Base the Kid. As always, please like and subscribe, share with a friend, a colleague, a relative, an associate, an enemy, all in between. It's appreciated. Now, usually I jump straight into the segments, but before I do that, I need to make a couple of corrections because I've always prided myself on either being as honest as possible, spitting the truth, or correcting myself when I make mistakes. So in the weekend wrap, I said that, it wasn't Demetrius Andrade who wanted to end the fight. It was his corner. They decided he had enough and they didn't want to let him go out, but he wanted to continue. I've since actually seen the footage where he actually does say, stop it. Telling the corner stop the fight after the ref said, I'm not going to let you have another round like that one, etc, etc. So I need to correct that. He quit. He said he didn't want it no more. And I've always said, I don't care if a fighter quits in a fight, but I don't necessarily like people to tell me that, oh, you should never use the quit word because, fighters, they put their life on the line. Or it doesn't matter. Semantics, at the end of the day, it's factual. If you quit a job, you've quit. Like, it doesn't matter why you've quit. It doesn't make you a bad person. Doesn't mean that you're less than someone else, but you've quit. And that's how I look at it. So he quit. Now here's my other thing. When it comes to someone like Demetrius, the fact that he quit, I judge him more harshly than maybe some other fighters who have quit in fights before, because he talks really spicy on other people. He said that Canelo lost to a basic fighter in Dimitri Bivol. He said he was who's John Ryder, blah blah blah. He came up with all of these names and basically said, he's ducking me, blah blah blah. Now, let's sort of just clarify that before we get into the first segment. Canelo, when he was IBF and WBC world champion, petitioned the WBO to fight Demetrius Andrade for an undisputed title fight. The IBF said, no, you have to deal with your mandatory and Sergey Derevyanchenko. They made Derevyanchenko an offer. Lou DiBella said the offer wasn't good enough, so ultimately he then pulled away from negotiations and they stripped him. So that's one thing. So the whole Canelo ducked him talk and narrative, no, it's not the case. And even though, yes, afterwards he decided to, rather than fight him again once he actually got that belt back from from Danny Jacobs, he went up to 175 to go and fight Kovalev. He went up to go and do something different and then came back down to 168, and we all saw what happened there. So no, he tried to make that fight. Ultimately, Demetrius Andrade didn't do anything to deserve it afterwards. Now, let's look at the resume. The resume is up before Saturday, never fought or beaten a former, present or future world champion. And now, never beaten a former, present or future world champion, even though he's a two-weight world champion. No elite levels on the resume, not even any wins that you could call world class. He has some okay wins, he has some decent wins, but nothing spectacular. The first time he steps up to someone that has actually held a world title before, he quits on his stall after 6 rounds. I don't want to hear from him about how other boxers are basic and trash when you're putting out turds like that, regardless of how well you might have done in the first couple of rounds. That goes to show me that for you have to take as much corn as possible right now, because you can't be talking bad on other people and downplaying their resumes and their wins when they're beating people twice and 3 times the level of the people that you fought. And then the one time that you step up, that's how you look. That's clown settings. You are officially a clown. And I even feel like a clown and an idiot for thinking that you could win. And that's why when people want to tell me about the eye test, I say, fuck the eye test. I need to see what your resume looks like. Who are you looking good against? Because anyone can look good against a Can or a tailor-made opponent. It's about when you're in there with the upper levels, whether it's the fringe world class, the world class, or the elites, how do you look with them? That's how I determine people that I think are top class and top notch. So when people want to tell me about the eye test and all that, they've already lost the argument to me, or I don't have any desire to engage with them. And that's how I keep it. So I'm sorry, Demetrius, you get put in the bum category right about now, because for whatever skills you had, they never amounted to anything. You ducked several different fights. You ducked Yanni Beck, you ducked Zach Parker. How do you duck Zach Parker, but you're supposed to be a world level elite competitor? Ducked Jamel Charlo in, what was it, 2014? The only person who ducked you was Jamal Charlo. I'll give you that one. Canelo didn't duck you. And Gennady Golovkin, he chose to go to Japan and fight Ryota Murata for about 4 or 5 times the money he would have got to fight you. I would have done the exact same thing, because he was still a champion and Murata's resume was probably comparable to yours at the time. So no, that wasn't a duck either. So when we look at it right now, you go in the trash. I was kind of done with you after you ducked the Zach Parker fight, but now I've got no time for you regardless of who you fight next or what you do next. And unfortunately for David, that's probably going to be one of the fights that doesn't age that well, because I can see this being a downward spiral if Demetrius Andrade does actually fight moving forward. Now, I don't normally get like this when it comes to fighters, but I've had a lot of time to process this one. It actually makes me angry that I put stock in this guy for him to go and do that. So to talk the amount of shit that he talks and then to quit on his stall, nah, you can't get respect from me. Like I said, I don't blame anyone for quitting if they've had enough, but when you talk the way he talks, nah, you need to, if you need to get stopped, you need to get stopped either by the ref in the ring, or you need to go out on your shield. Like, that's how I see it for someone like you. That's the standard I put on you based on how you talk about other people and how other people are basic or they're trash or they ain't fought nobody. So yeah, I'm gonna leave that one there, because I don't normally get this this crazy before we even get to the segments, but I had to get that one out and I had to make a correction to my previous video. So with that being said, I'm cool, I'm calm, I'm back to being good old base. Let's see if I keep the vim up in some of the other sections, but without further ado, let's get into some of the news.